Sit in the departure lounge at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok on any evening when flights to London, Sydney, Frankfurt, and Mumbai are boarding, and strike up conversations with tourists heading home after their Thailand vacations. And you'll hear something that contradicts everything Thailand's tourism authority wants the world to believe. These aren't excited travelers already planning their next trip back, sharing stories of amazing experiences and incredible value. These are disappointed, frustrated, sometimes angry tourists who've just spent 1 or 2 weeks in Thailand and have concluded it's not worth returning. When you ask if they'd recommend Thailand to friends or come back themselves, the answer increasingly is a definitive no, followed by detailed explanations of exactly what went wrong. Over the past several weeks, I've spoken with dozens of departing tourists at airports, hotels, beaches, and tourist areas across Thailand. I've read hundreds of recent reviews on TripAdvisor, Google, and travel forums. I've monitored social media groups where tourists share experiences in real time, and the pattern is unmistakable and alarming. Tourists who came to Thailand with high expectations and excitement are leaving disillusioned, vowing never to return, and actively warning others to choose different destinations. This isn't a small minority of complainers. This is a broad, cross-demographic trend affecting budget backpackers, mid-range travelers, and even some luxury tourists. What makes this particularly significant is that many of these dissatisfied tourists are repeat visitors, people who loved Thailand on previous trips 5, 10, 15 years ago and returned expecting the same magic, only to find that the country has changed in ways that make it no longer enjoyable or worth the money. The first-time visitors are disappointed that reality doesn't match the Thailand they'd heard about or seen marketed. But the repeat visitors are heartbroken that the Thailand they loved has been destroyed by over-tourism, commercialization, environmental degradation, and a tourism industry that's become extractive and hostile. Let's start with Emma and David, a couple in their early 30s from the UK who just finished a 2-week trip that took them from Bangkok to Chiang Mai to Phuket. They were sitting in a Bangkok hotel lobby, bags packed, waiting for their airport transfer, when I approached them. "This is our 4th time in Thailand," Emma told me. "We came in 2014, 2017, and 2019, and every trip was amazing. We fell in love with the country, the people, the food, the culture. We've been telling everyone for years that Thailand is the best travel destination in the world. This trip shattered all of that." David jumped in, clearly still frustrated. "The cost has become insane. We budgeted based on our previous trips, and we blew through our budget in the first week. A basic hotel room that cost 800 baht in 2019 is now 1,800 to 2,000 baht. Meals that were 100 to 150 baht are now 250 to 350 baht. Even street food, which was supposed to be cheap, isn't cheap anymore. A pad thai that used to cost 40 to 50 baht is now 80 to 100 baht in Bangkok, and 120 to 150 baht in tourist areas. We ended up spending 60% more than we budgeted, and we were being careful." Emma continued, "But it's not just the money. The quality has gone down as the prices went up. Our hotel in Phuket was dirty. The AC barely worked, and when we complained, the staff just shrugged. The beach was covered in trash. The water was murky and had trash floating in it. Nothing looked like the photos. We paid more and got worse. That's the opposite of what should happen." They both agreed they wouldn't return. "We're going to Vietnam next year instead," David said. "Everyone we met in Thailand who'd been to both countries said Vietnam is cheaper, cleaner, the people are friendlier, and you don't feel like you're being scammed constantly. I wish we'd just gone there. This time instead." Marcus, a 26-year-old solo traveler from Germany, told a different but equally damning story. He was on a bus from Chiang Mai to the airport, and we got to talking. "I've been traveling Southeast Asia for 6 weeks. I did Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. Thailand was supposed to be the highlight. Everyone says it's the best. But honestly, it was the worst of the 4 countries. His grievances were specific and detailed. In Bangkok, I got scammed 3 times in 2 days. A tuk-tuk driver took me to a gem shop instead of the Grand Palace and got aggressive when I refused to buy anything. A taxi from my hostel to the train station that should have cost 100 baht, he wanted 500 baht and wouldn't use the meter. When I argued, he threatened to kick me out in the middle of nowhere. I paid just to not be stranded. Then, at Khao San Road, a bar gave me a bill for 3,000 baht when I'd only drunk 2 beers. There was some confusion about drinks for bar girls that I never ordered. I had to pay to avoid a scene. He continued, "The worst part is that everywhere I went, I met other travelers with similar stories. Everyone had been scammed or ripped off. In Vietnam and Cambodia, I had 0 problems. 0. People were honest, prices were fair, and when there were issues, they got resolved reasonably. In Thailand, you have to be on guard constantly, negotiating everything, assuming everyone is trying to cheat you. That's not a vacation. That's exhausting." When I asked if he'd return, Marcus laughed bitterly. "Absolutely not, and I'm telling everyone I know who's planning trips to skip Thailand. It's not worth it. The reputation as a great budget destination is about 10 years out of date. Now it's expensive, scammy, and stressful." Sarah and Tom, a couple in their 50s from Australia, had a different perspective but reached the same conclusion. They were having dinner at a beachfront restaurant in Koh Samui their last night before flying home. "We've been coming to Thailand every year or two for the past 20 years, Sarah told me. "We've seen it change, and not for the better. This is probably our last trip." Tom explained, "We came for the culture, the temples, the markets, the authenticity. That's all been commercialized and destroyed. Bangkok's old neighborhoods where we used to wander and discover little shops and authentic food have been bulldozed for malls and condos. Chiang Mai's old town is now wall-to-wall tourist shops selling the same mass-produced junk. The temples are overrun with tour groups and aggressive vendors. The cooking classes we used to take that felt personal and educational are now factory operations processing 50 people at a time." Sarah added, "The environmental destruction is what really breaks my heart. We used to come to the islands and the beaches were pristine. Now there's trash everywhere. The coral reefs we loved snorkeling on are dead or dying. The water quality is terrible. Developments have destroyed the coastline. It physically hurts to see what's been lost. And nobody seems to care. The businesses just keep building, keep crowding more tourists in, keep degrading what made Thailand special in the first place." They were philosophical about not returning. "We've had 20 good years of Thailand trips, and we're grateful for that," Tom said. "But the Thailand we loved doesn't exist anymore. We're looking at Portugal, Croatia, maybe Greece for our next beach trips. At this point, those places are better preserved, easier to navigate, and honestly, not much more expensive than Thailand has become." Priya, a solo female traveler from India in her late 20s, described experiencing Thailand as a woman traveling alone. "We met in a cafe in Bangkok's Sukhumvit area, where she was waiting out her last few hours before a late flight. I've traveled solo in 15 countries, she told me. Thailand has been by far the most uncomfortable and stressful for me as a single woman." Her experiences painted a picture of constant harassment. "In Patong, I couldn't walk down the street without men grabbing my arm, calling after me, making sexual comments, blocking my path to try to get me into bars or massage parlors. It was relentless and aggressive. I'd say no, try to walk away, and they'd follow me. At one point, I ducked into a 7-Eleven and waited 20 minutes for a group of touts to stop hanging around outside." She also described feeling unsafe in ways she hadn't anticipated. "My guest house in Chiang Mai, the owner would knock on my door late at night, asking if I needed anything, if I wanted company. It was creepy and threatening. I ended up checking out early and finding a hotel with better security. But I lost money on the booking I couldn't get refunded. transportation was another major issue. I was overcharged by every taxi, tuk-tuk, and song theo I took. When I negotiated or pushed back, I got hostility and aggression. As a woman alone, that felt threatening. I ended up paying whatever they asked just to avoid confrontation. By the end of the trip, I was spending way more on transport than I should have, but I didn't feel safe arguing. When I asked about returning, Priya was emphatic. Never. I have friends who love Thailand and keep telling me I just had bad luck, but I've talked to so many other women who had similar experiences. It's not bad luck. It's how Thailand treats single women, especially Asian women who they assume are poor or vulnerable. I'd rather go literally anywhere else. Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, even India is less stressful for women traveling alone than Thailand was for me. Jake and Amy, a couple in their mid-30s from Canada with 2 young children, ages 4 and 7, described the challenges of family travel in Thailand. I met them at Bangkok's airport. Their kids exhausted and cranky, both parents looking stressed. This was supposed to be a dream family vacation, Amy said. It turned into 2 weeks of stress and disappointment. The problem started with logistics. Nothing is set up for families with young kids, Jake explained. High curbs everywhere that you can't get a stroller over. No elevators in most places. Restaurants don't have high chairs or kids' menus. Hotels claim to be family-friendly, but didn't have cribs or basic safety features. We were constantly carrying our 4-year-old because the infrastructure just doesn't work for small children. Amy described the cultural challenges. Everywhere we went, people wanted to touch our kids, take photos with them, pick them up without asking. I understand curiosity about foreign children, but it became overwhelming and invasive. Our 7-year-old started crying because strangers kept touching her hair. It made the kids anxious and made us protective in ways that weren't conducive to enjoying the trip. The bigger issue was appropriateness. We wanted to show our kids temples and culture, Amy said, but so many areas were completely inappropriate for children. We walked into one street in Phuket, and there were go-go bars, aggressive touts. Everything felt seedy and uncomfortable. Even the beach had vendors aggressively selling us things, and our kids were scared. We ended up spending most of our time hiding in our hotel pool because we couldn't find appropriate activities. The cost was also shocking. We paid for family-friendly hotels that cost 4,000 to 5,000 baht per night, which is expensive, and they were mediocre at best, Jake said. Meals for 4 of us easily ran 1,000 to 1,500 baht each time, and the kids barely ate because they didn't like the food. By the end, we'd spent over $5,000 CAD for 2 weeks, and the kids were miserable. We could have gone to Mexico or Florida for similar money and actually enjoyed ourselves. They were definitive about not returning. We're telling everyone we know with kids to skip Thailand, Amy said. It's not family-friendly, despite what the marketing says. Go to Japan if you want Asia with kids. Go to Bali if you want beaches with kids. Don't go to Thailand. Robert, a 68-year-old retiree from the UK who's been spending winters in Thailand for 15 years, represented a demographic that used to be Thailand's most loyal long-term visitors. I met him in a Pattaya bar where he was having a final drink before heading to the airport. This is my last year, he told me. I'm done with Thailand. His reasons were both financial and cultural. The long-stay visa requirements keep getting more complicated and expensive. The bank deposit requirements, the insurance requirements, the documentation, the runs to immigration. It's become a hassle. I'm 68 years old. I don't want to spend my time dealing with bureaucracy. The cost increases have also made long-term stays unsustainable for retirees on fixed incomes. My rent has doubled in 5 years. The condo I was paying 12,000 baht for is now 25,000 baht. Food has gone up 50% to 60%. Even Chang beer is twice what it used to cost. My pension hasn't changed, but my cost of living in Thailand has exploded. I'm spending more here than I would in the UK now, and I don't even get the NHS. The cultural changes bothered him as well. The Thailand I fell in love with 15 years ago was laid back, friendly, welcoming to foreigners. Now I feel like a walking ATM. Every interaction is about extracting money. The warmth is gone. The my pen rye attitude is gone. It's become transactional and cold. I don't feel welcome anymore. He's relocating to the Philippines. I visited Dumaguete last year and loved it. It's cheaper. The people are genuinely warm and welcoming. The expat community is friendly, and the visa situation is simpler. A bunch of us long-term Thailand expats are all making the same move. Thailand is losing an entire generation of retirees who used to spend money here year after year. Yuki and Hiroshi, a couple from Japan in their early 40s, described experiences that highlighted how even Asian tourists are becoming disillusioned. We spoke at a hotel breakfast buffet in Bangkok on their last morning. "We've been to Thailand 3 times before," Yuki told me through Hiroshi's translation. "This time was very disappointing. We don't think we'll come back." Their main complaint was over-tourism destroying the experiences. "Everywhere we went was so crowded, we couldn't enjoy anything," Hiroshi explained. "The Grand Palace was shoulder-to-shoulder people. We waited 2 hours in line. Wat Pho was the same. The floating markets were completely staged for tourists. Nothing authentic. Koh Phi Phi was so overcrowded and trashy, we left after 1 day instead of staying 3 like we planned." They also noticed a decline in service quality. "Thai service used to be exceptional, very attentive and polite," Yuki said. "This trip, staff were often rude or indifferent. At restaurants, we waited very long times for service. Hotels made mistakes with our bookings and didn't care about fixing them. It felt like they were tired of tourists." The value proposition didn't work anymore for them. "Thailand used to be affordable and high quality, a great combination," Hiroshi said. "Now it's expensive and quality has declined. For the money we spent here, we could visit Europe or the United States. Or we can go to Taiwan or Vietnam and get better experiences for less money. There's no reason to choose Thailand anymore." Michael and Lisa, an American couple in their late 20s, told stories that summarized many of the themes I'd been hearing. They were at Phuket Airport, waiting for their flight to Bangkok to connect home. "We saved for 2 years for this trip," Michael said. "We had 2 weeks and we split it between Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Phuket. Honestly, we're just relieved it's over." Their disappointments started immediately. Bangkok was chaos. The heat was unbearable. The pollution was so bad we both got sick. The traffic meant we spent half our time sitting in taxis going nowhere. We'd planned to see 5 or 6 things each day, and we'd be lucky to see 2 because everything took so much longer than expected. Scams and overcharging were constant stressors. "We got ripped off so many times we stopped counting," Lisa said. Taxis, tuk-tuks, restaurants, tour operators, everyone was trying to charge us double or triple what things should cost. We'd research prices online and then be quoted 3x that amount in person. When we'd argue, we'd get hostility. It made every transaction adversarial instead of pleasant. The environmental conditions shocked them. "The beaches were not what we expected at all," Michael said. "Trash everywhere. The water was dirty. The coral was dead. It looked nothing like the photos. We'd show the hotel staff pictures from their own website and ask where that beach was, and they'd admit those photos were from 10 years ago. We felt totally lied to." The food, which was supposed to be a highlight, disappointed them as, well, "We had amazing Thai food in the US before the trip, and we were so excited to eat authentic Thai food in Thailand," Lisa explained. "But most of what we got was bland and westernized. The restaurants in tourist areas don't serve authentic food because tourists complain that real Thai food is too spicy or too different. So we paid more to eat worse versions of Thai food than we could get at home. The few times we found authentic places, they were in random spots, far from where we were staying. The final straw was getting food poisoning in Phuket." We both got violently sick from a beachfront restaurant, Michael said. We spent 3 days of our trip in the hotel bathroom. The hotel offered no sympathy and still charged us full price. The restaurant denied responsibility. We have no recourse. We lost 3 days of vacation and felt terrible, and nobody cared. When I asked if they'd return or recommend Thailand, both shook their heads. We spent $6,000 on this trip and were going home disappointed and sick, Lisa said. We could have gone to Costa Rica, Greece, Japan, anywhere, for similar money and had actual good experiences. Thailand was a waste of money and vacation time. We're telling everyone we know to go somewhere else. The pattern across all these testimonials is consistent and damning. Tourists arriving with excitement and high expectations leave disappointed, frustrated, feeling ripped off, and vowing never to return. The problems they cite are remarkably consistent. Excessive costs, aggressive scams, environmental degradation, traffic and pollution, service quality decline, over-tourism destroying experiences, and a general feeling that Thailand's tourism industry has become extractive and hostile. What makes this particularly alarming for Thailand is that these aren't just negative reviews from a vocal minority. This is becoming the dominant narrative among tourists. Check recent Thailand reviews on any platform, TripAdvisor, Google, social, media, and you'll see the same themes repeated thousands of times. The ratio of disappointed tourists to satisfied tourists has shifted dramatically, and the word-of-mouth recommendations that drive tourism are turning negative. The comparison to other Southeast Asian destinations comes up repeatedly. Vietnam is mentioned constantly as offering everything Thailand used to offer, but better and cheaper. Indonesia, particularly Bali, but also other islands, is taking massive market share from Thailand's beach tourism. Even Cambodia and Laos, traditionally considered less developed than Thailand, are being recommended as better alternatives because they're less commercialized and tourists feel less exploited. The demographic diversity of the dissatisfaction is also significant. It's not just budget backpackers complaining about costs. It's families, retirees, couples, solo travelers, luxury tourists, everyone expressing disappointment. Young and old, from wealthy and developing countries, first-time and repeat visitors. They're all reaching the same conclusion. Thailand isn't worth it anymore. The social media amplification of these negative experiences is accelerating Thailand's reputation decline. Every disappointed tourist posts reviews, shares stories, and warns friends. Those warnings reach thousands or tens of thousands of people. The organic word-of-mouth marketing that made Thailand a must-visit destination for decades is now working in reverse, actively steering tourists toward alternatives. The implications for Thailand's economy are severe. Tourism represents approximately 20% of Thailand's GDP and employs millions of people directly and indirectly. If the tourist exodus continues and accelerates, the economic damage will be catastrophic. Hotels will close, restaurants will shut down, shops will go bankrupt, and millions of jobs will disappear. The country that built much of its modern prosperity on tourism may find that foundation crumbling. The tragedy is that Thailand's decline is self-inflicted and could be reversed if there was recognition of the problem and will to address it. The scams could be stopped with enforcement. The environmental degradation could be reversed with regulation and investment. The costs could be moderated by controlling speculation and gouging. The over-tourism could be managed with capacity limits and dispersal to less visited areas. The service quality could improve with better training and labor conditions. But none of this is happening. The Thai tourism industry and government seem committed to a strategy of extracting maximum short-term revenue from tourists regardless of long-term consequences. They're pricing higher, crowding more tourists into destinations, allowing environmental destruction, and turning a blind eye to scams and exploitation. This strategy is killing the golden goose. The tourists I spoke with aren't vindictive or looking to trash Thailand. Most express sadness that a place they'd been excited to visit or had loved in the past has deteriorated so badly. They wanted to love Thailand. They wanted to have great experiences. They're leaving disappointed, not because they're impossible to please, but because Thailand has failed to deliver on even basic expectations. The message from tourists in 2026 is clear. Thailand had its moment, and that moment has passed. The destination that defined Southeast Asian tourism for generations, that was synonymous with value, beauty, hospitality, and adventure, has become synonymous with scams, crowds, environmental destruction, and disappointing value. Unless dramatic changes occur, the exodus will continue, and Thailand will join the list of destinations that were destroyed by their own success and short-sighted exploitation. Have you visited Thailand recently and felt disappointed? Are you planning to skip Thailand on your next Southeast Asia trip? What would it take for you to give Thailand another chance? Share your experiences in the comments and subscribe for more honest reporting on where tourism is really heading in 2026.